Schrock Innovations presents the Midwest #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, Des Moines, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome in to Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. We're going to be here with you for the next hour. So, if you have a question or a comment, we would love for you to be a part of the program, to give us a call, join in, be a part of the conversation. And if you do that, we'll put you in the drawing for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate just for being a part of the show. 888-250-2091. Quick program note, Compute This is recorded Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. So if you are going to call 888-250-2091 and you're becoming frustrated because when you call that number, nobody's there, it's because it's probably not 7 a.m. on Sunday because this show airs all over the place, different stations at different times. We try to keep it as consistent as we can, guys, but, it seems that Sunday mornings are a pretty popular time on stations for some reason, and I'm not sure why, but we're going to look into that. 888-250-2091. All right, well, this week there wasn't a lot in the news. It was pretty boring. Market was kind of flat, politics was politics, and, I wasn't sure what we were going to talk about today. But lucky for us, there's lots of great things happening in the tech world that has absolutely nothing to do with anything that anyone else is talking about right now. Isn't it great to have a break? Isn't it neat? All right. So last week, if you missed the show last week, you can catch it on our website at SchrockInnovations.com. Just click on radio show there. You can watch the video. You can listen to the audio. There's the podcast on iTunes, the whole bit. But last week, we reminded you to reboot your computers because last week was Patch Tuesday. And that's the third Tuesday of every month. So you want to make sure you get all patched up, good to go. Make sure you reboot your computers to finish installing those patches if you haven't already done so. We finally put a fork in Internet Explorer last week. It's done. Ding. There we go. So now if you're using Internet Explorer, it's going to force you into Edge instead. We talked about the price, the wild price decline in crypto assets last week. What was behind that? It was basically a daisy chain margin call. One player bet naked long. It's going to go up forever. Didn't hedge his bets at all. And, he got margin called, and he had to sell all of his crypto to cover his margin call. Well, that caused the price of crypto to go down, which caused another margin call, which caused another margin call, which caused the price to ratchet down to where it is now, where it's found a bottom, and it's been holding for about the last week. So interesting stuff there. We also shared unfortunate news, about how people who get hit with malware infections tend to be retargeted within a year. So the bad guys remember where their easy lunch was, and they come back to you. I remember my grandmother once told me that, when she was a little girl, her parents told her to never feed the hobos. Because if you fed the hobos, they'd put a mark somewhere on your property that only other hobos knew about. Apparently there was like an information network of hobos. And only the other hobos would know about these marks, and they would know that if they see this mark on the fence that they should approach this house for a meal because, they're an easy mark. There you go. So, if you get marked by one of the bad guys, they tend to come back to the trough for another feeding within a year to try to exploit you again, which obviously, we've been preaching this forever. I have stories that I could cover on the show today. We're not going to get to these stories today just because it's a busy show and there's not an immediate threat this week. So I'm not going to, if you keep drumming people over and over about how insecure their phones and tablets are and how badly they need antivirus, some people will come and get protected. Many people will not. And that's why people get hit. And then when those people get hit, then they tend to get protected or they don't. And if they don't, they get hit again. So that's the way life is going right now. So people know you need antivirus on a computer and you need antivirus on a laptop. That was not the case 20 years ago when we started this program. We literally, we had the guys calling into the program like, oh, it's a conspiracy, man. Like the antivirus companies make the viruses and then they infect you and then they get rich selling you protection from their own weapons, man. That was a real call. Well, a dramatized call based on a true story. Some elements may have been changed to protect the innocent. But no, literally, we had to convince people that you needed antivirus software. And then guess what? Computers were out. We had to convince people they needed maintenance checkups. And it was like, no, hardware wears out. I changed my furnace filters the other day. Why don't you? When's the last time does your computer have a filter? Some computers actually do. Have you changed it or checked it or cleaned it lately? That's why you bring it in for maintenance checkups. So anyway, we spent time last week on the program talking about how people who get infected and don't protect themselves get reinfected. 'Tis the nature of the world that people who don't take steps to protect themselves end up unprotected. Imagine that. Coming up on the program today, I had an interesting thought yesterday when I was doing show prep. I said to myself, Thor, how is Windows 11 adoption going? Because this is what, I'm sure you're thinking about. Are people moving to Windows 11? And if so, why and how? So we're going to talk about that a little bit on the program because the answer is actually really surprising. The answer is no, and I want to know why. So we're going to figure that one out. Microsoft is going to start nagging you about an operating system that's going end of life here next year. We're going to tell you what version of Windows you're going to have to run away from next. If you're still running Windows 7, you should have your running shoes well worn at this point because you should have been running a long time ago. Intel is putting their Ohio factory on hold, and they're blaming Congress. So we're going to tell you what's going on in the chip security business. Are we going to be able to produce our own chips here in America, or are we still going to rely on the Taiwanese fabrication plants in Taiwan because, there's no potential for a problem there. Also, if you thought your last safe upgrade took a long time, you're downloading it over that Windstream DSL connection, the budget one, the $20 a month connection, and it takes like 3 hours to do. Imagine doing a Windows update on a 20-year-old spaceship from another century. Yep, they did that. The European Space Agency did that. And hey, guess what? All the tools work even better now that we've gotten rid of all this garbage data based on a Windows 98 operating system. Windows 98. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess if you're on Mars, then that's the best OS on the planet. You know what I mean? He's here all week, guys. 888-250-2091. So we got a fun show planned for you today. But one of the things, and I know this sounds incredibly boring, but one of the things that literally I'm wondering, why is it Windows 11 is almost a full year in now? We're going to be looking, it looks like September-ish, we're going to have our first big update to Windows 11. The 22H2 update, my guess is they'll release the one for Windows 10 at about the same time. Which will be incredibly confusing for Safe Upgrade because, which one do you need? Make sure you get the right one for your operating system. So it would behoove you to take a moment to know what your operating system is. Are you on Windows 10 or are you on Windows 11? Now, it's easy to tell. If you're on Windows 11, your start menu, that little button you click, the little Microsoft button, it's in the middle of the screen on the bottom. If you're on Windows 10, it's on the left side, far left corner. So it's really easy to know if you're running Windows 10 or Windows 11. You can tell just by looking at it. Now, the question I have is, Windows 11, I've been using it now for over a year. It had its hiccups in the beginning, like all new operating systems do. They've pretty much been ironed out at this point. It's a really stable, nice operating system. Why aren't more people moving to it? Well, there's always people. Well, first of all, let's start off with the smallest majority. You got the bitter clingers, right? Remember that from the Iraq War, the bitter clingers, those Saddam Hussein supporters that weren't going to quit no matter what happened? I don't remember I remember seeing a bitter clinger, but I've heard about them. But basically, these are the people who they're gonna keep running their Windows 98 even if they're not on Mars, and they don't care. They're just going to keep running the old operating system because it works. It's like a typewriter. It does what they need it to do. And sure, they get on the internet, but they don't really do anything. I don't do anything on the internet. I just get on there and, check my bank balances or, maybe pay a couple bills. I don't really do anything. I might check my Facebook. There's email. I do my email, get some attachments from the family of pictures and stuff, but I don't really do anything. I might print something from time to time or maybe check out the Hy-Vee circular to see what's going on, what the special deals are at Hy-Vee, but I don't really use my computer for much of anything, really. We hear that every day, guys, every day. You use your computer for more than you think. So when you're using an outdated operating system, you're causing a security problem that can't be fixed with security software. This is like if you don't have a front door and you're obsessed about locking the door, there is no door. Like, it doesn't exist. There is nothing to lock. If you're running Windows 7, you have no front door. There is no antivirus, paid, free, or otherwise, that can protect your computer because there are security vulnerabilities that are never going to be patched, right? So why is it? Now, Windows 10 is still in support. So Windows 10 is getting security updates. People who stay on Windows 10 are absolutely fine to do it. Absolutely fine. Why is it that people are staying on Windows 10 instead of going to 11? Well, I think one of the biggest reasons is the hardware requirements. Microsoft really, really smacked people in the face with the hardware requirements. Now, we're coming out of the COVID pandemic, where pretty much everybody just suddenly realized, oh, poo, you can't work from an iPad. No matter how much Apple would like you to believe that you can. Now, some people can. They don't really do a lot of work, but some people can. Knowledge workers, maybe. Some knowledge workers. But people who actually, do things with their computer, like worky stuff, pretty much need a Windows operating system or an Apple operating system. You need to have a computer. Because iPads and phones are great for consuming content. They're not so hot for creating it. So as people realized, I need these computers, everybody ran out and bought a computer so they could work from home. When people bought the computers to work from home, they bought whatever computer they could get their hands on. They didn't really care about the hardware. As long as it booted up, got them on the internet, and allowed them to get remoted in, that's all they needed. Microsoft comes out 1 year after that with a new operating system and says, if you have anything more than 2-generation old technology, it is now obsolete. That means if you bought your computer 2 years ago, it's now obsolete. It can't run Windows 11. But don't worry, we're going to keep Windows 10 around until 2025, which for those of you counting is about 2.5 years. And then you'll have to buy a new computer. So at 4 or 5 years old, you buy a new computer. And Microsoft thinks this isn't a big deal, because the average computer lasts the average person about 18 months. So if we're giving you 2.5 years, we're benevolent, we're generous, we're kind, because you will have to buy a new computer anyway. At some point, your hard drive will die, your processor will overheat because you didn't get it fans cleaned out, or maybe it doesn't have a fan, maybe it just has a chunk of metal in there, because, who needs a fan? And fans are so 20th century. That's just heat management. Who needs that? You're going to throw it away anyway. Or maybe you have a laptop and you just, use it on the arm of the couch or on a bedspread or maybe on your lap, or a pillow or any other surface that's not a hard desk surface. I'm not saying that you're a bad person. We all do that. But I'm saying that causes damage to the computers. That causes them to heat up. Causes them to use up their lifespan, okay? So people replace computers for lots of reasons, but people running Windows 10 may have just bought their computers a year and a half ago. I can understand why there's not a huge push to toss that thing in the can and move on to the next computer, simply because Microsoft, has deemed from above that computers that have, this processor or that processor shouldn't run Windows 11, even though a lot of them can. A lot of them could successfully run Windows 11. So in some ways, this line is somewhat arbitrary. At least we could go 1 generation further back. So I've seen Ryzen 2nd Gen chips running Windows 11. It's not supported. It's not recommended. We would never do it for a customer because the unintended consequences later on. Can you get Windows updates if you're running an unsupported processor? Our guess is that when you go to download the 22H2 update this September, one of the first checks it's going to do is a processor check. And if your processor is not Windows 10 compatible or Windows 11 compatible, it may not install. Now, why would Microsoft do that? Remember when Microsoft put out the overzealous requirements for their hardware, it literally came out of left field. Dell had no idea. HP had no idea. These are companies that already had computers in production that did not meet Windows 11 system requirements. For heaven's sake, the high-end Microsoft Surface workstation on Microsoft.com at the time they released the Windows 11 specs didn't meet Windows 11 specs. Brand new computer, $2,600 computer that you can buy on Microsoft.com didn't meet specs for Windows 11. So it was an outrageously high spec. So Microsoft gave all the manufacturers a backdoor and said, we can change these registry keys and it'll bypass all the security checks and it'll bypass the processor checks and Windows 11 will run on your junkier computers and then we can get you through this hardware bottleneck because we're all in this together. What does that mean for you as the consumer when you buy one of these pieces of junk from the box store and you end up not able to get the 22H2 update because you don't have compatible hardware? Well, my hardware was compatible with Windows 11 before. Why is it not compatible anymore? Well, because as time goes on, for example, the first version of Windows 10 was far less restrictive on hardware than the current version of Windows 10 is. As time goes on, Microsoft assumes that your hardware is marching on as well, which is why you have to have upgrades, why you have to make sure you keep your computer at least reasonably current. You know, it has to be reasonably current. Now, when Microsoft comes down and throws an unreasonable dictate upon you that you're going to, throw away your computer from a year and a half ago, that seems kind of silly. So one of the things that we're doing at Schrock for customers at Schrock, the desktops that we build are modular. That means that for many of our customers, especially those who purchased in the last year and a half, that we can change one microchip inside the computer and your computer is literally compatible with Windows 11, good to go for the foreseeable future with one chip changing. You can't do that to an HP. We literally had a guy had an HP Omen, one of their higher end systems, and he said, I had a Ryzen 3 chip in it and I upgraded it to a Ryzen 5 chip and now it won't turn on. What's going on? Well, the BIOS, the programming in the computer and the motherboard doesn't recognize the Ryzen 5 chip because that computer was never sold with a Ryzen 5 chip. So they restricted the chips. You can't upgrade it. There's no BIOS for that motherboard. You have to replace the whole motherboard. And then if you're going to replace the motherboard, you're kind of in new computer territory on an HP at that point. Oh, well, that's a bummer. Well, that's not how it is with Schrock's modular computers. With our computers, we can change out that chip and get you up and running. Maybe we do have to change a board. If you bought maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we change a board and a chip. It's still cheaper than buying a new computer. So one of the things that I'm kicking around is an idea for next month. July is usually a pretty chill month in the computer repair business. It's, we're not quite in back to school yet, and we're in the depths of summer vacations. The thought occurs to me that if there was a demand out there for people who wanted to do these upgrades, the thing that kills you on the upgrades is the labor. The thing that kills you is the cost of the labor, because it's 2 hours of labor to get in there, get the processor switched out, get Windows 11 installed. So the thought is maybe we could run some kind of a special on that. If there was a core of customers who were interested in something like that. So if that is you, I'd love to hear from you today. 888-250-2091, because when you guys talk to me on the program, things actually come from that. I listen to what you say, and we make plans based on what our customers want. So if this is something that you want, if you want a special to get your computer ready for Windows 11 so that you can move on and keep using the same computer that you've been using, well, then that's a special we want to put together for you. Just let me know. 888-250-2091. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, guys, Microsoft is going to be nagging you to get rid of an operating system here soon in the next month or two, and we're going to tell you which one you need to watch out for coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations repair technicians also make house calls. Make an appointment and let us bring our award-winning computer support right to your home or business. In 1798, Eli Whitney's Connecticut Musket Factory was the first business in North America to use replaceable parts in a firearm. Before Eli's factory, if your musket broke, you had to send it away to an expert gunsmith for repairs, or just toss it and buy a new musket. Technology manufacturing has come a long way since the 18th century, but you wouldn't know it by looking at today's big box store computers. Dell, HP, Sony, and other manufacturers continue to take away your freedom to upgrade and repair your computer by eliminating expansion and repair options. Some desktops are even powered by a tiny laptop adapter. Schrock Innovations believes in Eli Whitney's idea of interchangeable and replaceable components, and that's why our custom-built modular computers last longer and cost less to repair than computers computers you see at big box stores. Ask your friends and family how often they replace their box store computers, and they'll probably tell you every couple of years. And what do they do with the old machines? They just get thrown out like broken muskets. Imagine a place where your computer's problems can be fixed quickly and inexpensively. Imagine keeping your computer for 6 years or more. You are imagining the kind of computers we build every day at Schrock Innovations. Our modular systems last longer, perform faster, and cost less over the long term than anything you can buy at a big box store. While the talented technicians at Schrock Innovations can't make you a musket even if they tried, our commitment to the freedom offered by modular computers is the modern-day extension of Eli's innovative musket factory. We think Eli Whitney would be proud, and you can take pride in owning a small piece of American innovation. The modular computer from Schrock Innovations. Compute This Pro Tip 843. Of all computer failures, the scariest and most expensive is the hard drive. But there are some steps you can take to save money and save your data before it's too late. Detecting failures early is important, so install a free utility like Drive Advisor from driveadvisor.com to monitor your hard drive's health and receive warnings when there's a problem. But most of all, hard drive failures happen slowly, so early detection is key to reducing the repair bill. Second, if your hard drive makes any unusual noises, immediately turn off your computer and do not turn it on again. These issues are physical problems, and the more you try to use it, the worse the damage becomes. Remember that most computer repair shops do not have the specialized equipment needed to recover data from a failed drive. Never open your drive or allow anyone else to do so. Opened drives always cost more to recover. Schrock does not charge for data recovery evaluations and quotes, so let the local pros look at your drive before you make any recovery decisions. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program today. We got a lot of people in Schrockville here hanging out on Facebook at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. Randy, Roger, Mary, Roger, Mary, Thomas, Richard, Dan. The whole crew is here, guys. Welcome aboard, everybody. I'm glad to have you with us on facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. You can watch the show there as well if you like. Also, if we're covering something and you have to run into church or something's going on, or you got to get out of the car, don't worry. The entire show is available on our website at SchrockInnovations.com. Videos as well. Videos are also available facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. Quick program note. After the conclusion of the show today, we will be doing an aftershock. During the aftershock, we will cover multiple topics that may or may not be related to computer repair technology. We will not be discussing politics this week because no, you can get that everywhere else right now. Everywhere else. That's all you can hear about. I bought a new audiobook. Like, by the time this book is done, what is it, 13 hours of audio, now 32 hours of audio? If by the time I'm done listening to this audiobook, even if I just listen straight through and just let it play when I was sleeping and everything else, maybe they'd be done talking by then. But no, we have a lot of stuff to cover that's computer related, a lot of stuff to cover that actually is going to impact your digital life. And we're here to help you out with it today on Compute This. 888-250-2091. Big question I have for you on the program today. Those of you out there who are running Windows 10, why are you still on 10? I genuinely want to know. I suspect a lot of it is Microsoft hasn't pestered you to upgrade because your hardware is not compatible. They just expect you to buy a new computer eventually. And there's nothing wrong with the plan of riding it out till 2025 and making a decision then. There's no rush. It's not like you have to do something. But I wanted to find out, are people not making a decision to move to Windows 11 because of the hardware requirements, or because they're just comfortable in Windows 10 and they don't feel the need to move? Or maybe they don't like Windows 11. We had one guy on Facebook who was like, well, Windows 11 beeps, like, well, there you go. So that's why he's not going to Windows 11. One guy said he wishes he could go back. But there's lots of customers that we have in the service center that wish they could go to them, come in asking to go to 11, but they can't because their hardware is restricted and won't let them do that. It also puts an interesting spin on repairs as well, because how much money do you want to put into repairing a computer that you know you're going to have to throw away in 2 years? Like, even if everything goes perfectly, you're going to have to throw it away in 2 years. kind of gives you something to think about there. All right, so speaking of Microsoft Windows, while we're on the topic, Microsoft is going to start nagging you if you're still running Windows 8.1. Not a lot of people are running Windows 8.1. If you think Windows 11 is bad, you're definitely not on Windows 8.1. So Windows 8.1, Windows 8 was an absolute flipping disaster for Microsoft, and it didn't work on top of that. And so they turned around and said, "Oh, we gotta do something here." So they came out with Windows 8.1, and Windows 8.1 was basically like a do-over. So it was a whole new operating system. It wasn't a service pack. It wasn't like a safe upgrade. It was a completely new operating system. So you had Windows 8, which is already sunset and already gone. There was no extended life on that. There was like, you can upgrade to 8.1 or you can go fly a kite. That was Microsoft's opinion on 8 because it was such a disaster. So now 8.1 has hit that point where next year in January, it is going to go end of life. I know there are not many of you on 8.1, but those of you who are, I want you to be aware you can't go to 11. Your computer won't run it. There's no upgrades that we can do to an 8.1 computer short of pretty much replacing everything that would make it run Windows 11. So if you're still running Windows 8.1 or you have a family member who is running Windows 8.1, just throw a reminder in your Google Calendar or in your phone to pop up around, I would say around Thanksgiving, that an ideal Christmas gift for that person would be a new computer. Or part of a new computer, go in with the family or something and get something, because in January, those people are going to have a real problem because they won't be able to be secured anymore. They won't be able to have Sophos. I think we have about 25 customers that we protect with Sophos that are running Windows 8.1 still. So of course, we're going to reach out to those customers individually and say, hey, you're running Windows 8.1. At the end of the year, you're going to have to make a choice. We want you to at least be aware of that so you can start preparing the budget for that, because we all know that everyone has extra money right now and that everything is hunky-dory roses. So, what's a new computer in the budget? Big deal, right? Just as long as you don't have to drive to get it, because that costs more than the computer itself does. Have you seen this meme? Have you seen the new $1 bill? They redesigned the $1 bill. Have you heard about this? No? Oh, my goodness. I thought this was an information station. The new $1 bill, it has 20 on it. Yeah, it's a 20. 20 is the new one. Yay. Oh, boy. And I've been reading a lot more about what stagflation is, because, I wasn't really politically aware when that was all a big thing. And it perfectly describes what's going on right now. It's so many ways, so much stuff in the aftershocks we talked about how things don't make sense, how there's deflation and inflation at the same time, and that's stagflation. Okay, unpredictable imbalances in the market makes a lot of sense. We'll talk about that during the aftershock. But for those of you running Windows 8.1, there is nothing unpredictable about what's going to happen in January. You need to buy a new computer, or you're going to lose your security capability. It won't be an overnight thing. The first month that it happens, there will be security vulnerabilities that go unpatched. But as time goes on, those vulnerabilities will stack, and they'll actually become exponentially more dangerous. And then you'll get to a critical mass point where the cost of getting hit and infected is actually more expensive than the cost of getting a new computer, even if you only use your computer for those very few things that you think you use your computer for. 888-250-2091. Going to take our bottom of the hour break. When we come back, Intel is putting their Ohio factory on hold, and they're blaming Congress. What's going on here, and why is Congress building chip factories? Coming up next on Compute This.
Update all of your third-party apps on your computer with Secure Updater. It keeps all your apps running smoothly and helps block viruses. Download it for free today at secureupdater.com. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute This Pro Tip 578. Technology is constantly changing, so how can you tell when the time has come to recycle your old outdated computer and invest in a new one? Experts have rules of thumb and formulas, but Schrock believes the answer is simple. You should replace your old computer when it can no longer do the things you need in a secure way. For example, you should not be using operating systems like Windows XP or Vista because they're no longer maintained by Microsoft and they're not secure. And if your computer cannot run Windows 10, it's probably time to begin saving for a replacement. If your existing computer requires a repair and that cost is 50% or more of the cost of a new computer, it might be time to consider a replacement. But keep in mind, additional costs like data transfers and important software you have to upgrade like genealogy software or Quicken. And also keep in mind that modern computers are engineered to last 18 months for a normal user. And don't worry, you are considered a normal user. Schrock modular PCs and solid-state laptops are specifically designed to last 4 to 6 years for that same normal user, saving your family money and time. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
I'm Jared McHugh. Proving Vladimir Putin wrong. President Biden speaks up for NATO as this week's G7 summit begins in Munich, Germany.
We have to stay together. Yeah. Because Putin has been counting on from the beginning. And somehow NATO would, and the G7 would splinter, but we haven't, and we're not going to.
The president will later attend the NATO summit in Spain. While many protests against the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade take place around the country, many pregnancy support centers want their voices heard as well.
Everybody's asking, what's going to happen after this ruling? What's it going to look like for a post-Roe California, post-Roe America? We're saying we're ready for this. We're ready to serve women. We're ready to serve children. We're ready to serve families. And we're going to be there continuing to support.
She works for Veronica's Home of Mercy in San Bernardino, California. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
It is going to be a very nice first Sunday of summer here in Omaha with sunshine, 79 for a high this afternoon. Northwest winds at 10 to 15, maybe gusts to around 20. Partly cloudy, 56 overnight, sunny and 85 on Monday. Tuesday, it will heat up again, sunny and 90. I'm Roger Olson.
Alrighty, folks, it's already halfway gone. Can you believe it? We're already halfway through the program. Thanks for listening to Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company with 4 service centers to help you out when your computers are having trouble. It's important to get the locations out. It's also important to let you know that we offer free pickup and free drop-off service as well. We'll come to you, pick your computer up, bring it back to the service center, do the work on it there, drive it back out to you again, saving you some gas money in the process if that's something you need us to do to help you out. The original location is in Lincoln. It's currently at just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. We used to be on 27th and Pine Lake, and then we had a 10-year lease there, you see. And apparently in the decade we were there, that intersection became the most popular and expensive intersection in the entire city of Lincoln to be in. And they were like, yeah, we're going to have to raise your rent 400%. And we're like, that's kind of silly. Or you can move like 1 mile this way and keep your rent the same. We're like, I think we'll move a mile. Thanks. So we're just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road now over there. This was a couple years ago. We just moved over there a couple years ago. But everything was nice and new and shiny. It was kind of cool. And they built it all for us. It was great. So Kruger's an amazing company. So basically, that's the original location in Lincoln. In Omaha, 168th and Burke, just across the street from the Village Point Mall. In the Papillion area, 84th and Highway 370 in the Midlands Place Shopping Center. And the newest Schrock Innovations location is, going to be 2 years old in August at 9500 University Avenue. 2 years already. It's amazing how time just flies by with these children. 888-250-2091. Getting some comments on Facebook at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations about why people are not going to Windows 11. Catherine says that somebody told her that some of her programs wouldn't work with Windows 11. Most things that run with Windows 10 will run with Windows 11 unless you're running something that was originally made for like Windows 98 and it's been hacked along to run on Windows 10, and then Windows 11 might just be a bridge too far. Live Mail is a great example of this. A lot of people love that Live Mail program from Vista, and it's to the point now we just can't patch it along for people anymore, and they get really upset about it that they have to change their email program. And we're like, you haven't had to change your email program in a decade, man. I mean, it's time to change. You have to get the new program. It's like, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do about this. Ronald says he has a laptop with Windows 10 because an app for his Quest VR headset is not stable on Windows 11, and he would prefer to have 11, but only once the app that he has is improved. That makes sense. I mean, if there's a stability issue or a specific reason like that, Ronald, that makes a lot of sense that you wouldn't want to move to 11 because your headset isn't going to work right. So we're getting some interesting feedback, some good feedback here on the Facebook page at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. 888-250-2091. Let's jump into those phones real quick. Steve, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This today?
Yes, I was listening, and you said you were interested if people were wanting to upgrade to 11. I guess that'd be something I would be interested in.
Okay, well, yeah. Do you have one of our computers now, or do you have a major brand?
Yes, I have a Christmas special 15 or 16 model.
Oh, gotcha.
So
okay. Yeah, so definitely upgradable. Definitely. So, yeah, I mean, literally like I said, the thing that kills you on these, people understand paying for parts, but it's the labor that kills you. It's kind of like, I think somebody was trolling us on Facebook. My employees didn't realize it, but I saw the comment and it made me laugh. Somebody sent us like just this rando Facebook message asking us how much we would charge to install a toilet if they provided the wax seal. And if you listened to the show a couple weeks ago, I was talking about how stupidly expensive plumbers are. And this plumber wanted $800 to set a toilet. And my wife literally kicked him out of our house. Like, she said, no, you can go. And the guy was shocked. He's like, what do you mean I can go? Don't you need your toilet set? She's like, for $800, I'll do it myself. And we ended up finding another guy that came in and did it for a couple $100. But I mean, the thing is, the same with computer repair. It's the labor that really gets under people's skin, because you understand you have to pay for people's time. But man, $250 to execute a Windows 11 upgrade and install some chips and a board, it's, yes, you need specialized knowledge to do it, but boy, it sure pushes the cost of that upgrade up into $500-600 in some cases. And so the thought I'm having is maybe we could do something about that labor bill where we reduce it or try to limit it in some way for a short period of time to give people like you who want to move to Windows 11 a window of opportunity to do that at a reduced cost. Not everyone will take us up on that. Some people are just gonna put it off either out of necessity or out of lack of desire. But there are. I want to gauge how many people there are out there that would appreciate or want something like that, because, like I said, July is kind of a middling month in the computer repair business. We don't expect to be really busy in July. We're never dead, but we're never busy in July. So, it'd be a great month to do something. That we'd have the time to do it. The guys will have the hours to do it. And it sure beats sending them home. So, So
I would also be interested in that, the rental one or the lease one. That's something
yes, Freedom Modular.
So
are you signed up for that right now on the website?
Yes, I did.
Perfect. Yeah, the Freedom Modular is going along really well. Quick update on that. The back-end software is all done. So in the service centers now, it was rolled out to myself and Parker last week for testing. We could build a computer and sell it under the Freedom Modular program with deposits and payments and subscriptions and the whole bit. Now we need to roll that out on the front end of the website so that you can go to the website and build your own computer and see what it would cost in the Freedom Modular program. I think that's going to be a really powerful tool for people to understand that, you can really, rather than building, a lot of people go out and they buy a computer that barely meets their needs because they're trying to be budget conscious. But when you find out that you can add like another 4 gigs of RAM and it costs you like an extra 30 cents a month, 20 cents a month. I mean, if you spent 20 cents extra per month on everything, it sure adds up. Don't we all know it? But wow, to have a computer that actually is going to last for a long time and suit you well throughout the entire time you use it for 30 cents more a month, it's not a bad deal. So I think it'll be a really powerful tool to allow you as the consumer to be able to go to the website and actually game out your own build, figure out what you want to do, what you want to upgrade, how far you want to go, and then you can just place the order right on the website, and then we can take the order that way. So we're getting very, very close. We may end up taking some orders next month just to test off the back end of the system, but we'll be hitting that list first, which is why I was making sure you were signed up.
Yeah, great. One other thing, I just want to say that I had to go to the service center in Lincoln, which I've been with you there for a long time. But Andrew helped me. He did a great job. Just
awesome.
wanted him to know that.
Well, thank you very much. Andrew's one of our newer guys, so I'm glad to hear that he's been properly shrockified. No, it's sometimes I was talking with Raj about this before the show started, and we had a couple other people put in their notice. Paula has left the Omaha Service Center, so we're hiring for a front desk in the Omaha Service Center. We have an ad up on Indeed for that. Also, Corby is going to be leaving the Papillion Service Center. He's got another opportunity that is going to afford him some educational opportunity as well that he just couldn't pass up. And so we've hired Frank, and we're training Frank in the service center right now to take his place. And, things are going really well there. So, I mean, there's always new people coming and going. That's just the nature of life. But when you have people coming in and finding the right people, especially in this environment, in Nebraska and Iowa, our unemployment rate is so much lower than everywhere else in the nation. It's so hard not only to find people in general, but to find good people. Went to Sonic yesterday. And thank you for the call, Steve. I appreciate it. I went to Sonic yesterday to get some ice cream last night, like 10 o'clock at night. My wife's like, she's been working on remodeling a bathroom all day. She goes, I could really use some ice cream. I'm like, I'll get you some ice cream. So I go to Sonic, and they're wrapped around the building. I'm like, because I have a big brain, I just pull in one of the stalls and push the little red button. Like, I ain't waiting in that line. Gah. Yeah, thanks for, sorry for the wait, sir. We were only serving people in the drive-thru tonight because they don't have any people to actually bring the food out. Even roller skates wouldn't make them efficient enough to bring the food out to the cars because there just aren't any people. Where did all the people go? I don't understand. 888-250-2091. All right, so Intel is putting its Ohio factory on hold, and it's blaming Congress. Basically, there's a bill in Congress right now that's kind of stuck called the CHIPS Act. The CHIPS Act is a $52 billion funding package that's supposed to fund domestic chip manufacturing. And I'm absolutely certain that 100% of that $52 billion will only go to manufacturing microchips. I mean, that's just the nature of government. It's incredibly efficient when it comes to spending money like that. Yeah, I understand. We want to bring manufacturing back, and I understand we need chip manufacturing because we're currently reliant on foreign countries to produce the microchips that go into our military equipment, which is not a really great place to be. But the government telling Intel, here's a $52 billion funding package for your factory. And Intel says, well, we're still going to break ground on this, but we're not going to be able to scale it up like, we're supposed to. Because initially this factory is going to cost $20 billion just to build. And at full build out, the total investment in the site, which I'm assuming includes labor and people and everything else, could be as much as $100 billion over a decade, making it one of the largest semiconductor manufacturing sites in the world. However, the ultimate size of this facility could depend on the fate of the CHIPS bill, the CHIPS Act. So in other words, Intel is saying unless the government gives them $52 billion, they may not build this factory all the way out or even achieve any of the goals of the initial investment. Why don't they just give the $52 billion to AMD instead? Maybe AMD will do it for $40 billion. Was this bid? Did we actually decide which American chip manufacturing company was going to get a 50% discount on a manufacturing facility? Maybe Texas Instruments wants it. Did we offer it to them? Maybe they'll take it for $30 billion. Why are we building why is the federal government building factories at all? Interesting. Questions to be asked and answered during the aftershock. 888-250-2091. Going to take our final break of the program here. When we come back, we have Steve and Gary. Your calls are coming up next on Compute This.
Now you can configure and purchase laptops, desktops, tablets, and more, all at the new SchrockInnovations.com. Check out our specials for one-of-a-kind discounts and deals.
Remember the good old days when virus detection worked like Where's Waldo? Spot the virus in the striped shirt and you win. Today's infections are changing hourly to avoid detection and use social engineering to trick you into making mistakes. Using yesterday's security to defend against today's threats is like using leeches to stop an infection. It just doesn't work. We recommend Sophos Intercept X, antivirus backed by Schrock's virus-free guarantee. Sophos uses the power of AI to detect the patterns of a virus attack and responds with Schrock's custom actions that stop it fast. With Sophos on your PC, Mac, Android, or iOS device, you get the state-of-the-art protection you need to defend against the most advanced attacks out there. In fact, if your device gets a virus while running Sophos antivirus, Schrock will remove it for free, guaranteed. It hasn't happened yet, and we intend to keep it that way. Ditch your dad's antivirus and keep your device, data, and identities safe with Sophos and Schrock Innovations.
Compute This Pro Tip 178. Those little life-saving surge protector strips are vital to your computer's health and should be used whenever possible, even for laptops. As computers get smaller and more powerful, they're also becoming more sensitive to dirty power, and your power is a lot dirtier than you might think. Even if you have a whole home surge protection, most power surges are generated within your own home. If you've ever vacuumed and seen the lights get dimmer and brighter, you created a surge. Surge protectors can only absorb so much energy measured in joules. When that capacity is exhausted, your surge protector becomes a glorified extension cord and needs to be replaced. You should always look for surge protectors that give audible alerts when they're no longer able to protect your equipment. Schrock recommends these because the lights on most strips are just power lights and they don't tell you when it's time to replace the unit. If in doubt, replace your surge protectors annually to keep your expensive TVs, computers, and other electronic equipment safe. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, final segment of the program. Thanks for sticking with us through the show today. Of course, we are open Monday through Saturday, all locations. 10 in the morning we open. Every location except Des Moines is open until 8. Des Moines closes at 6. Staffing stuff. Also, Des Moines is closed on Sunday, kind of like Chick-fil-A, so heads up there. Everybody else is open from noon to 5 on Sunday. If you're having an issue with your computer and you want to get it into the service center, or if you have one of those maintenance checkup certificates that you purchased, now is an excellent time to redeem it. Right now, the turnaround times are great. The volume is low. You get a lot of great attention. If there's any issues or problems happening, we have the time to really dig in deep and make sure that we get those resolved for you. So that's good to know if you have something you want to bring in. If you need us to come out, as I mentioned before, we do offer free pickup and free drop-off. We will come out to you and pick up the computer, bring it back in, do the work on it, drop it off again for you. Just one of the services that we offer and why we drive very small cars. 888-250-2091. Steve, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I'm Steve, too.
Yeah, I know. Back-to-back Steves.
Yeah, I have an Android question.
Okay.
I usually don't have either data or Wi-Fi turned on my phone because I don't like to be bugged all the time. I want to get my stuff when I want to get my stuff.
Okay.
But I'm pretty anal about checking the Play Store for updates.
Gotcha.
And it seems like Facebook, a couple others, it's like they update like 5 times a week. Should you restart every time you update your programs there?
When you do an app update on your Android device, there's no need to restart the device itself. You can restart the app, and that's enough. If you get a software, like a firmware update for the device itself, though, then it will force you to reboot to finish that installation.
Okay. So is it a good idea to be always checking for those updates?
Well, with the Play Store, I'm trying to find a nice way to say this, because the way that the model is built, it is assumed that you're always connected. So when there is an update, you get it right away. You just get it automatically. You don't have to go check. Now, if you are, like you said, if you're dipping in and out, then you should check periodically. And one of the reasons why is because the story that I haven't covered for the show today was about a bunch of malware that's attacking Android and iOS devices. And the app stores have put out updates to stop the apps that are causing the problems. So if you have a problem causing app on your device, it's going to keep causing a problem until you get rid of it. And the way you automatically get rid of it is through an update from the App Store. Now, of course, if you have like an antivirus product like Sophos on your device, it is also going to assume that your device is connected all the time. So you could get alerts from your antivirus on your device that it needs an update or there's an issue because it can't connect to the internet.
Okay. Hey, thanks a lot for the explanation. I think I'll keep checking every time I turn my Wi-Fi on.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks for the call, Steve. I appreciate it. Gary, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
I bought a Windows 8 machine and had some problems until 8.1 came in place. What I'm asking is, I upgraded to a CPU or upgraded for a solid-state hard drive. And I'm currently on Windows 10. Apparently, it wasn't able to be upgraded to 11 at that point.
Gotcha. So you said it was a desktop, Gary?
Yes, it's a desktop unit.
Okay. So one of the things that I just covered on
It's a
Facebook.
power unit.
Yeah. There was a customer, a very similar situation on Facebook, said the same thing. I said that he was told his computer, his Schrock-built computer, was not compatible with Windows 11. And that is entirely true, that we've been building computers for 22 years. There was a lot of computers that we have built over the years that are not going to be compatible with Windows 11. That doesn't mean that we can't make them compatible with Windows 11. So we can replace 1, 2, or 3 pieces inside the computer to make it compatible. The easiest upgrade is when we just have to replace the processor. This is going to be on your computers that are pretty much Endeavors, maybe old Boundlesses and Endeavors and Ventures that were built, I'd say, within the last 3 years. We can usually just change out one chip and you're compatible with Windows 11. Now, if you go back further than that, then we have to also change out the board, the motherboard. And because of the changes in the chips and everything, we also means we have to replace the memory. So then you're up to 3 components, and then the price gets up there a little bit. You're talking, $500 to do an upgrade, and then it's only $800 for a new computer. So would you rather have the new computer with the warranty and the newer parts, everything new hard drive, faster hard drives, the whole bit, or would you rather spend the $500, save the $300, spend the $500, and get your computer up to snuff to work for another 5 years for you? So those are the decisions that a lot of people are forced to make. And when you're faced with those kind of numbers, some people just say, you know what, I'm good till 2025. I think I'm just going to wait and see what happens. And so we get some people who say that. So, it's one of those things where this is one of the reasons I wanted to cover this on the show today, is because I think there's some confusion. Every computer we look at, we test for Windows 11 compatibility, and we'll put it right on your invoice that your computer is or is not compatible with Windows 11. And if it's not compatible with Windows 11, that doesn't mean we can't make it compatible. It just means it's currently not compatible. Now, with laptops, there's nothing you can really do about a laptop. If a laptop is not compatible, there is no upgrade you can do to a laptop to make it compatible. However, on desktops, there's always an upgrade, especially desktops that are built by Schrock. There's always an upgrade because that's how we designed them. Does that answer the question, Gary?
Yes, it does.
Awesome. So yeah,
thank you.
Definitely keep an ear to the ground. If we do a special like this next month, you'll definitely hear about it here on the program. Also, I've got Alfonso, our wonderful software engineer, working on digging through the system data that we have to see how many of our customers actually would benefit from this upgrade. I mean, how many systems do we have that are currently out there running that just need a single chip, for example, to be upgraded so they can be Windows 11 compatible? And so that's going to dictate a little bit about how far we go with this, and if we just reach out to those individual people or if we do something more broad across, all the airwaves and everything else. 888-250-2091. And then, yes, we have another Gary on the line. It's Steve, and Gary. Are you guys messing with me?
No.
Thanks for calling, Gary.
How much RAM will Windows 11 recognize?
Oh my gosh, I'm rocking 128 gigs. I'm not sure what the max is. Let me take a look. No one's ever asked me that. Max.
Oh, it'll do 128.
Oh yeah, I think it'll do more than that. Let me double check though, because they changed the way it addresses memory. Okay. I can see the RAM limits. How much RAM? Come on, pop it up for me here. How to check the amount of RAM? I don't want to know how to check that. I know how to check the amount of memory. Come on now. Okay, what's the maximum memory? 9 exabytes.
Oh.
Okay. So I'm rocking 120. I'm rocking 128 gigabytes myself right now. But yeah, you could run a lot of memory on Windows 11.
Okay, well that might make it worth me upgrading then.
Yeah, the motherboard is going to. Yeah, the motherboard's going to be what limits you here, and not the operating system. Most motherboards
I'll need a new motherboard and chip and everything anyway. So
gotcha, perfect. Because most motherboards are only going to support up to 64 to 128 gigs before you start getting into like high-end gaming boards and things like that.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the call, Gary. Appreciate it. All right. So did you guys hear? There's a spacecraft on Mars. It's called. Let me get this up here. It's called the Mars Express, and I'd never really heard of it before. But apparently the Mars Express, it's a satellite in orbit, and it sends ground-penetrating radar signals to the surface of Mars and receives imagery data back, and it was able to locate a huge frozen lake of water on Mars. So it's actually like mapping underneath the surface of Mars. And it was launched years ago, 19 years ago, and the software on board is running on Windows 98. Windows 98. So they're having all kinds of problems with it. Yeah, apparently it's filling up its storage. It's got all kinds of issues. So they sent a Windows update to it, and they have not detailed what the update is, what version of Windows they took it up to, because obviously the hardware wouldn't allow them to do Windows 11. So I'm guessing it's got to be, Windows XP? I don't know. What did you take it to? But they upgraded the satellite, and now it's actually more efficient and working faster than it did before. When has that ever happened for anybody on a Microsoft upgrade? Ever. That after you upgrade, everything runs faster and more efficiently than before. Oh, my goodness. All right, so it's going to be confusing. Steve, number 2, you are the winner today of the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Marissa will get that out to you here on Monday. Also, stay tuned at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations for the After Schrock, where we're going to do another quick show for you there. And then we'll see you all again next weekend for another exciting edition of Compute This.
From the Amish Furniture of Nebraska studio, your home for made in the USA furniture. This is News Radio 11.